Sean Hannity, of course, is the host of one of the most popular and successful cable shows on television. I taught him everything he knows. Let's welcome to the Mike Gallagher Show on our guest line, the one and only Sean Hannity. How are you, my friend?
Out and you're convincing your audience that we're not friends. Listen,
are you kidding me?
Starting in. This has been a good week. Why
it's
are
been
you
a great
starting
week.
in?
Listen, I'm so proud of you. I have. I've shared with listeners. You and I both started in radio at WABC in New York.
Hey, actually, we both started before that. We knew each other. You were in Greenville.
Yes, sir. South Carolina.
I was in Atlanta and Huntsville.
Yep. Huntsville,
then you
Alabama.
Went to Albany.
That's right.
And then we both met in New York, and we've been friends ever since.
Well, you got me through some tough times. You were a great mentor and friend, and watching this first of all, this year unfold.
I only gave you one bit of advice because you're too nice of a person.
No,
Mike. Yeah, no, that's a true story. You are too nice a person, and there was a particular individual that was being mean and horrible to you. And I said, you got to punch back. That's it. Because, I just, because I love you, and you're like, you're being the Mr. Nice Guy. And I'm like, oh, my gosh.
But things worked out pretty well, I think.
No, I think things worked out actually the way God designed them. That's what I believe.
And that message could apply to this week. You talk about getting punched, and you talk about being mean. I don't really quite understand the dynamic of why the Washington Post and the New York Times and others went after you this year the way they did. I mean, it's not a secret that you're a great, solid conservative, a great American. It's not like you don't pretend to be, Walter Cronkite. Some of the silliest stuff was said about you. Well, he sits behind a desk, so why does he have opinions? I mean, it's some of the most insane, unhinged things I've ever seen, Sean.
To be honest, Mike, it's funny because it happens every 4 years. Mm-hmm. This is not new for me in my life. And look, I'm like you. I don't hide my opinion. There's, both our brands are pretty well known. People know who we are. I think we learned something, though. I said back in 2007 and 2008, journalism is dead.
Yeah.
The fact that the mainstream media ignored all of the warning signs about the radicalism of Obama was appalling to me. But beyond that, WikiLeaks really has taken us to a new level.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got every mainstream media group in this country now proven to be colluding with the Clinton campaign. I'm actually going to spend a lot of time on my opening monologue on TV tonight. It's going to be about this.
Good.
And, the fact that they're either feeding questions so Hillary can cheat in the debates, or if CNN is interviewing Donald Trump or Ted Cruz or Carly Fiorina, well, they're asking the DNC, CNN is asking for questions. Now, over the many years we've been friends, you've been interviewed by the New York Times, I've been interviewed by the New York Times. We're never given an opportunity to edit the piece before it actually goes out. We're never given that opportunity by Politico.
The lid's been blown open on this, Sean. They've been exposed. And listen, this has been what a sort of a therapeutic week to see all of this blow apart. The establishment. This is what you've been railing against for years, and it's like the American people finally said, we get it. I just wonder if you were prepared. I know you say it happens every 4 years, but let's face it, it was rough this year. This was tough to see. Did you expect that? Did you see that coming? Is it the nature of Trump?
I honestly, and nobody believes me, I just don't care. I don't care what people write and say. My job is to serve my audience, and I went out with it. I can say at the end of this process, Mike, this has been going on since 2015 March is when at CPAC is when I really started the process of this presidential campaign, which probably I think arguably is too long. But when I went to CPAC in 2015, I interviewed Trump on stage. I interviewed Jeb Bush on stage. I interviewed Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio and Rand Paul and all of these guys very early on. And when I gave my speech at CPAC in 2015, I said, I am going to give as much airtime to all of these candidates as they want so that you can make a really well-informed decision about the direction you want to take your party as a conservative movement and the country. And then in 2016, I reaffirmed that in in March of 2016, and I said I'm not going to endorse in the primary, and I didn't. And I offered equal time to all the candidates. And, at one point, people were accusing me, oh, you're supporting Donald Trump. And interestingly, at one point or another, I was accused of supporting all of them.
I know, I remember.
Yeah. And, but I feel gratified in the sense that what I promised my audience, I did. I said I would support the nominee, whoever they chose. They chose Donald Trump in record numbers. I understood why they chose him. I got it completely. The Republican Party has lost touch like the Democratic Party has.
Yep.
What's really fascinating and what's really historic, though, about the election, as you mentioned, he beat the Democratic establishment, the media establishment. He had, key Republicans not only not supporting him but sabotaging him. And he had the quote, intellectual class of the conservative movement.
Yep.
They didn't see that, on one issue alone, the Supreme Court, how imperative it would be to take Trump over Clinton. And so, a lot of people went to war with people like me and you and others that, saw this for what it was.
I'd like to put in a book the email exchanges I had with Pete Wehner, because poor Pete and others like him just are so mortified at Trump's candidacy, and I kept pushing back, saying, Pete,
I know Pete well, and look, I know Pete's sincere. I get it. I don't have any problems. And all the fights that I got in, and a lot of them were on Twitter. If you notice, whether it was Bret Stephens in the Wall Street Journal, or at one point it was Jonah Goldberg,
me too.
or Glenn
me too.
Beck.
Yep.
I never hit first.
I know.
And this actually goes back to our discussions back on our old WABC days.
Right.
I don't punch first. I don't go after people personally like that. But if they're going to go after me, I'm going to hit back.
You're going to defend yourself. You're going to defend yourself. And
yes,
I believe I truly have great solace. I take great comfort in knowing that I know my audience, you know your audience, and I know if I'm getting the kind of appreciation and love that I'm getting the last couple of days, the thanks that for standing firm and supporting the Republican nominee, I know what you're getting. I hear it every day. People say to me, "Thank Sean for me. Thank Sean."
Yeah.
I hope, and I guess I hope you get it. I hope you're hearing it. I know. No, again.
I do. But you know what, Mike? I tried to explain this on TV last night. I don't know. I don't feel like I actually had planned after this election that if Hillary had won, that I felt that there was a real need to go after those people that say they're conservative, that say that they believe in originalism, that want energy independence, that believe Washington is too big, bloated, out of control, and that think the educational system's a disgrace. This was their opportunity, because
now what?
There is real substance, and I spent more time, I think, with Donald Trump than anybody in this campaign. Interviewed him, dug down deep, got into the substance. I was accused of not having substantive issues interviews with him. They all had substance in them. Nobody wanted to hear the substance.
Sure, they did. So now, where do you go? Where's your head and your heart now with these NeverTrumpers? What do we do? Because I admit I'm struggling with it. I'm struggling with Paul.
I'm not struggling at all. I really believe, I keep calling this the forgotten man election. And what I laid out on radio and TV yesterday is something that I made a point of saying every single day for a year. A pastor friend of mine, and I was talking about it yesterday, said, I mention these statistics every day for a year on purpose, because that is what I wanted the election to be about.
Right.
The 50 million Americans on food stamps, 13 million more than when Obama became president, the 50 million in poverty, 8 million more than when Obama became president,
sure.
95 million out of the labor force, lowest home ownership rate in 51 years, worst recovery. And there's more. But I would mention it every day, Mike, because they're the forgotten men and women in this country that are suffering so badly because of bad government policies, Republican and Democrat. I'm more disappointed with Republicans. Republicans could have replaced aspects of Obamacare.
Yeah, well, guess what? Guess what happens now? Guess what happens now, though, with the House and the Senate and the presidency?
Well, it better happen.
It's going to happen. Oh, it's going to happen.
No, Mike.
These Republicans, they know.
Get on board or get out of the way.
They better have gotten a wake-up call. Listen, when the history books write about this, they're going to write about you too, my friend. You played an incredible role in this, and I'm honored and proud to be your friend, and I continue to support you. Watch Sean Hannity tonight on TV.
All right, my friend. God bless you, and thank your audience for what they did for their country.
For this, Tuesday. we just did. Thanks so much, Sean. Sean Hannity on the Mike Gallagher Show.